So you know I'm paid in full.
Hey, what's going on? It's another episode of the Teel podcast, and like always, I have another great guest, Mr. Chase Brewster. What's going on?
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. It's not quite so hot. I work outside, so
Yeah.
as the temperature starts to go down, I get a little bit happier.
I never thought about it, but I guess I work outside too.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Yeah. I don't normally introduce myself that way, but
Yeah.
I guess I am an outside worker.
You're an outside worker, yeah. So you got the baseball stuff. I mean, that's taken up a big chunk of your life, right?
Yeah, I think it's obviously become synonymous with who I am, and it's there's different when you have any kind of profession. What I mean, there's hobbies that involve baseball. There's your profession that involves baseball. It just we got kids playing in pro ball and in college every day. So there's definitely a baseball element in my life that the majority of my days spent around some sort of baseball activities. But it's been a blessing. So I wouldn't be on here on this show without baseball. Whoever's watching probably wouldn't know me without baseball. So I could complain about it, but it's been awesome, and it's been really good for my life and my family.
Heck yeah. So I'm assuming you played baseball, right?
I did not.
You didn't play baseball.
No,
okay.
I was an awful athlete. Really just kind of got presented. Coach Welch and Coach Minnie, wanted me to be a manager in high school at Texas High. If Coach Norton happens to see this, I would do anything to get out of all-season football. So kind of started there. We grew up extremely, not wealthy.
Right.
So I was just trying to go to college any way I can. My dad wanted me to play football, try to get a scholarship. So Coach Welch said he'd help me get a scholarship to be a manager, and we did. And so that's kind of how I started my college process to get my school paid for. And Coach Bolt, when he was at Texarkana College, he's at Nebraska now, but he asked me to stick around and start my coaching career. And then kind of the rest has been history from there.
So what is a manager? Like, what does that job entail?
I got so lucky. I think, I think there's obviously guys that, get water. There's guys that, are invested as they want to be into a program. And, unfortunately, a lot of times there are guys that, probably get picked on a little bit. But, I had it so lucky. Coach Welch and those guys and, everybody on the team was my best friends. And, it was just a great situation for me. But I ended up falling in love with it. I'd be a manager in the summer for we had a really good summer team. And, I think at some point kind of the passion went away from like basketball or football, whatever. I was just a young kid that loved sports, stuff, baseball. And, I look at it like I was just an awful player, went to every practice, went to every game, never played, knew I was never going to play. But just fell in love with it. And then, I just didn't see my life going without it. And I wanted to be around it every day. And I think I've always been huge in relationships. And again, we didn't grow up not wealthy, I'll say. So, in our summer trips, we got to go to these different places. And you think you're going far off. You're going to Dallas and Durant, Oklahoma, and these places. So I knew that I used baseball to see more of the world and get my college paid for. And that's what I kind of wanted to, give back to other people and kind of started there. And it, started out as a guy just trying to get to college and then got a degree somehow. I have no idea how. I got a couple now. And, now we just get back to Texarkana in the game of baseball any way we can.
Heck yeah. I like that. So you go to college. So you were a manager, then you go to college. Then do you end up with a baseball job right off the jump as a coach? Or?
I was like Coach Bolt asked me to be a student coach my third year. I didn't really know what I was going to do. So I started going to A&M Texarkana. And those guys were awesome. I got to work with Will Bowl, who's now the head coach in Nebraska, Lance Harvell, who's his assistant in Nebraska, Brad Flanders, who's with the Padres. So we had a great staff.
Wow.
They were, at the time, you don't know what a mentor is. You might have heard the word, but, I just had a group of mentors that really, they gave me responsibilities. And I think when you're a young kid, sometimes you look at it as, just crap work, really, or whatever the word is. But they gave me responsibilities and they let me grow. And, we had some other coaches on staff over the years, Justin Seeley and some of those guys, Travis Winnie. And they poured into me and they invested into me and they let me grow. And so I came my third year, I got to help with pitchers and catchers with Brad Flanders and didn't do a whole lot there, but really got to help in recruiting. And that's where I've always been really good at on the relationship side. So kind of started my career there. And then I had another year to graduate. So I went to Genoa Central with Jonathan Gosden and Jonathan had never really had a coach's staff. He had always kind of been by himself. They had played in the semis the year before, and he had built something really special at Genoa. And me and Kevin Huff just happened to show up at the right time. And we did a lot of good things together in our 4 years there. Won 2 state championships.
Oh, cool.
4 regional championships and 4 conference championships. So that was the 4 years we were together. Jonathan would leave. I'd be the head coach in 2015 at Genoa. And, the whole time I wanted to get back in college. I loved it. Kind of right then I had a chance. I had my first Division I assistant job in 2015. I was going to take it when he went to Magnolia. So I ended up staying at Genoa as the head coach, the interim head coach. Had the most wins in 3A, won the regional, finished second in the conference. I got nominated to coach in the All-Star game by the conference chair. So it was an awesome year. And then in 2016 and 17, I was with TJ Cox at Genoa as well. And then, the Sticks just kind of grew so big that...
And that's like a select team, right?
Yeah, it's a nationally ranked travel baseball team.
Cool.
I mean, there's a lot of different terms that it would fit in. Select is one of them. Depending on what year, we've had up to 25 high school teams. Majority of the state of Arkansas. Obviously, a lot of the better Texarkana kids play on the high school side. Some years, every player Texarkana plays. It just kind of depends on the years. We've had kids from all over. We had kids from New York, Hawaii.
So there's 25
Canada.
different teams?
Yeah, at our height. I mean, it's just every year is different. I think last year we had 16 high school teams, maybe.
Wow. And they play in like the off season of like when it's not high school time?
Our main time is in the summer.
Okay.
We play June and
Summer
July,
ball.
and then we do a fall league as well.
Cool.
We play in September. A lot of the big events are in October, so we try to be done just so if kids want to go to Florida and some of those events.
Right.
It's really a thing. And it's like any other sport or anything in life. You can find something every weekend if you want to do it. So we try hard to where our kids don't have to pick. Not only do they have to deal with football in the summer and girlfriend and lake and just life, right? Someone got jobs, someone trying to, get ahead in school, take early college classes. We had some of that this summer. So a lot going on. And, the last thing we want to do is, have to decide, hey, do they want to go to these college camps, these showcases, stuff that's not associated with us, more of an individual thing, or do they want to play, with Sticks? So we were kind of the first group. I think we cut it down to 5 tournaments in the summer. We play 5 out of the 8 weekends, sometimes 9, depending on the year. And a lot, when I first started, everybody was playing 7, 8 weekends. And I think there was this, kind of notation that, hey, if you don't play X amount, it's not a, good bang on your buck or whatever. But what we kind of found out was people were tired of the travel pretty soon. We started at 7, then went to 6, and 5 is kind of our sweet spot. Gives you time to kind of get in everything you need to get individually, and also, give yourself time to be a better baseball player, hopefully, and get some reps in with us. So, June, July, and September are kind of our prime months to play, which has worked out really good on the business model because travel baseball is expensive. We kind of set up a plan where you can pay kind of November, December, January. You can kind of break it down.
During
make it
the
cheap.
off time, you had.
Yeah, because I mean, it's just like I said, the way I grew up, I would have never been able to play.
Right.
My parents wouldn't have been able to afford it, so we try to take all that into consideration. And you got to order uniforms so far out because you get it from China and all this stuff. So we put a lot of thought into it, and that's kind of what turned it into a business instead of a hobby.
Right.
It started out as kind of a hobby, just had a passion for helping people and wanting to coach good players, and just working really hard to kind of shore up things where we could. And next thing I know, so in 2017, had interviewed at some other places, had a lot going on, and I just said, hey man, I'm gonna try to do this. Had some really great mentors. Steve Landers Jr. has been like a father to me. He was, kind of the one that started the Sticks and then gave it to me. But I had a lot of people that I looked up to that said, hey, you can do this. You got enough people. You got enough kids involved. You got enough parents that, are excited. And so we had already played for 2 years. This was going into our 3rd year. And I think we started with 2 teams, then it went to 5. And then that 3rd year we went to 10. And that's when I just said, hey, I'm going to try this to see what happens. And the rest is kind of history. So
There's individual coaches for every one of these teams, right?
Yeah,
and so you're like the how would you describe yourself over? Do you coach any of the Stick teams?
Yeah, we coach our 17 team, which is normally our best team.
Okay, cool.
Has nothing to do with me coaching it. But, as they get older, their priorities change. 15, everybody still thinks they're a hitter and a pitcher. 16, they're starting to get bigger, stronger. They've kind of had 2 seasons on varsity or maybe not on varsity, depending on where, they're kind of starting to see the writing on the wall as far as college. And then by the time they get to me, there's a little bit more perspective on life, kind of know what they're selling at that point. You're kind of reaching, depending on how you look at it, our parents think you're reaching the finish line. They think by the time that junior summer gets here, they should be committed or it's too late. And in my opinion, they're starting to get to the blocks, to start the race.
As far as getting picked up for like college or something?
Yeah. And we have, we've had one commit as an 8th grader. They just changed the rules. So,
oh, wow.
Now you have to wait until you're a junior, right as your junior year starts. They just did that last year. But, for the majority of our time in business, we'd have a handful of committed as 9th graders. We've doubled that as 10th graders. And still, it would your junior summer was kind of your big summer. And then on my team, we have a lot get drafted. I won't say a lot. We have, all of them are talented enough for the most part to get drafted at some point, whether out of high school or out of college. So, our events are a little bit different, a little bit more travel, a little bit more of a grind. But, for the most part, we're able to take 25 to 30 kids that have kind of the same goals. And this summer we had another great summer. We were like 27-4, I think. All 4 losses were to nationally ranked teams. We were all nationally ranked again. So, it's been a huge blessing. It's been great for Texarkana, I think. It's been great for the state of Arkansas. It's been great for me and my family. So a lot of people have, played a huge part in it. We got a great staff, and Evan Ham and Kyle Slayton, they do a lot behind the scenes, and so many coaches. It'd be impossible to name everybody, but just so many guys that have helped. And then we started kind of like an affiliate program. So we have like Sticks Northeast in New York that they do a really good job. We have Sticks Southwest in Arizona. Rocky King does a phenomenal job out there. And then Devon McClure runs Sticks Oregon. He played at Arkansas, played football, and played for the Royals. Jamarcus James, who's our general manager, he does a phenomenal job. He has Sticks Albuquerque. So, we're just trying to branch and, hopefully one day they're, obviously like anybody else, you got dreams of hoping every kid has sticks on and everything.
Yeah. What is that the final goal? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's the big goal? It being like a everywhere thing? We
want to be in all 50 states. That's our plan.
Right.
Unfortunately, what you see when you start trying to, when you depend on other people in different parts of the region, different time zones, different pricing, different tournament schedule, different school schedule. Like our Arizona kids, they start back the end of July because it's so hot outside. They think, we'll give them breaks when it's cooler. And I don't have the exact dates, but, so everybody's playing at different times. Life's just moving different in a lot of different places. And what you realize is there's only one Chase Brewster.
Yeah.
For good or bad. I don't know how people feel as a human, as a coach, as a boss, that's for them to decide, but there's only one. So thinking they're going to run Sticks Milwaukee like we do Sticks Texarkana is foolish. What you got to hope is, and Jamarcus has done a great job, but you just got to hope you get great people involved. And, we don't sell it this way, but essentially I'm a mentor. I go, hey, this is what we did to be successful. This is what I'd recommend to you. And kind of we just did Sticks basketball with Terrence Walker and Texarkana. They had a great thing going with ISO Joe, and kind of the same thing there. We'll have phone calls. I just go, hey, this is what we did. This is what worked for me.
Right.
And, you don't realize it at the time, or I didn't at least, but, you're being a huge mentor to people because they saw it. Like with social media and, all the alumni we have, you can see what kind of worked for us. And, but you see the end results. You see the wins and the fall leagues of success. And
so it's like it's like you're building a system that other people can kind of emulate, and you can kind of help.
In real time, I don't think that's what it was, but I think that's what it is now.
Right.
I think you're building a scalable model, in a sense.
Right.
And again, there's different parts of the world. They play at different times. Some states, the high school coaches can coach them. Some states, Legion is really popular. So everything's not identical. But the way I look at it is I had no millionaire kickstart. I had no professional career. I had none of that. And this is what we did. So very basic, by treating people right, by building a great relationship, by building a great, not only relationships, but reputation, and being honest with people, colleges, parents, everywhere we could. This is what we did, and this is how we did it. And, I think this would work for you if I can help in any way. And really, that's kind of what we've done. But, the way travel baseball is kind of going, like last week, our guys in New York played. We were able to send our kids. We sent an outfielder from Vegas. We sent a right-handed pitcher from Houston. We sent a left-handed pitcher from Dallas. So instead of me taking a team to New York, we have a group in New York and Stick Southwest that's playing, or Sticks Northeast is playing. So why not just send those guys to play there? Like, we don't need to take a whole team and try to figure out life. If anyone wants to go to New York in September, go play in this Perfect Game event. We got a team playing. Next week, our 27s, that's kind of the sophomore event. We got all kind of kids going from our Arizona team, our Arkansas team, just everywhere to play in there. Again, we don't have to go. We don't have to take a team that's not good enough. We don't have to, if we don't have a shortstop here, we don't have to worry. So it's done a lot of things for our kids to combine and, and I'm a firm believer in, it's good for our kids, like our kids personally in Arkansas, to be around some of these coaches from Oregon and, Arizona.
You give them a different outlook.
Yeah, I think so. You never know who will change your life.
Town, yeah.
Or, all right, Charlie Grays. Charlie Grays just committed. Charlie's from Fayetteville High School. He really wanted to go to school in Florida. So what did he do? He went and played in Florida all summer with our Sticks Florida group. They were ranked 5th in the country. He knew what he wanted to do. Do we know some colleges in Florida? Absolutely we do. We don't know all of them, and we don't even know the majority of them because I don't live in Florida. But Coach Barnes and Coach Sullivan does. So he played with them. He got one of the offers he felt good about. So I think it's a bigger network for our people.
Wow.
We obviously have a long-term goal that involves the app. And really what we're trying to build is the infrastructure of, communication. Who can vouch for who can help, who's a good player. And that's kind of our long-term goal, is just setting up a network of trust, essentially, and giving all our kids more options is what we want to be a part of.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's really cool.
It strengthens the power of numbers, right? You got more players, more relationships, more connections, more coaches, more events, more everything.
Right.
And baseball is going to get played. It's going to get played in a lot of different countries. It's just a matter of, are those guys going to work together? Are they going to work against each other? What you're seeing in our landscape is, Five Stars has teams in a lot of states. Wow Factor has teams in a lot of states. Prospects are doing the Midwest specs kind of thing. So we're not the only one trying to do it. We're just doing it a little bit different. We're not trying to make money off every sale. We're not, we're just trying to find the right people, and we'll figure out how to make it work on the back end. And that's what we've really, like I said, Jamarcus, our GM, he's done a phenomenal job of just getting good people involved and people that want to learn and listen. And again, I'm not saying I know everything. I want to learn from them. But the groups we've been able to help, because I don't really want to be a part of something where I can't help.
Right.
I'm at a point in my career where if I do something, I do a lot of stuff without expecting anything in return. Like, a lot of people can't do something for me I can't do for myself. And that's not like a prideful thing or like bragging. I'm just saying, if I do something, it's because I want to do it. And that's where I want to be. I want to be with people that, I can help, both players and coaches. And it's not a situation where you do all this help for people and they don't care, they're not appreciative. We want to use our resources to help. 2 years ago, all our players wore shirts that says "You can change the world" with the Sticks logo in the middle. And I believe that, and I want our kids to believe it, and I want to be a part of. If somebody needs my help, great, I'll help any way I can. You might not like the answer, you might not. Hey, if you want your son to play at Harvard, I go, hey, I don't know anybody there, but I'll call. I'll figure out how to get him out. One of our coaches surely does. We'll figure it out, but. We try hard not to lie. We try hard not to, overpromise. We try hard to be very transparent, very truthful. And we do the same thing with our coaches that we work with. And it's been a blessing. I know the bigger we grow, the more people you'll have to deal with, the more attitudes. At some point, it won't be as of a blessing. There'll be drama like anything else. But right now, it's been a huge blessing. And I'm getting a lot out of just helping any way I can as I get older.
Yeah, heck yeah, that's cool. You said that you were good at recruiting. What do you think goes into finding the right person for the right spot?
I think it's not necessarily finding the right person for the right spot. It's more of making sure that person knows what spot they're coming into. You can only try to jam a square into a circle spot for so long.
Right.
Whether it's the right or wrong piece, it's not the right shape.
Yeah.
And you can have a really good shortstop. You can have, let's just say we got 2 great shortstops and they're both draft picks and they're both great players. But when they both show up, they both think they're playing short. And now I got a problem because no matter what I do, one of them's bitter, one of them's parents are bitter, one of them are in the stands telling everybody how we're, bad people and stealing money and lying and all this stuff. Maybe they're even on social media, whatever. So the thing for me is, have I already addressed this before we got there? Hey, in 26, Spencer Browning is our shortstop. Spencer Browning is a Pleasant Grove kid. He's the 18th ranked player in the country. Spencer's as good as they've come. He's as good as we've had. I can't take another shortstop in 26 and tell them they're going to play short because when they get there, they're not.
Right.
So I think, it all goes back to I'm a firm believer in communication solves all. I'm a firm believer in being honest. So pay off in the long run. And our mindset has been we want June and July to be fun. I'll take an awkward conversation September, October, November, January, February. I'll tell you, like, hey, I think your kid's a left fielder on our team and not a second baseman. They might not play with us. That's fine. But it's not miserable in June. And I think the part of recruiting that gets so basically where the backlash comes from is you're just telling whatever you can to get somebody, and then you figure it out later. We've got more good players, especially on my team, from good programs we strive to be like nationally ranked programs that have taken too many players in the same spot, lied to every one of them, and could only keep one of them. And we've lost tournaments because of it. Like, we've lost tournaments because we don't, we know a kid's not playing very well and he's been 0 for the last 3 games, but like, do I want to go out and replace him? And I'm not saying we never have, and I'm not saying we've, But
it's a tough choice.
It's a situation where I look at it like, these are the kids we brought in. I picked these kids. I know they're good players. They're just struggling right now. Could we go get somebody else? Could we drop them? Could we be like some other teams and bring 2 teams everywhere and maneuver players? We could. But the basis of the fraternity of sticks that kids love on our level, on my level, is the fact that when I tell them something, or Kyle Slayton tells them something, or Matt Goodhart tells them something, they don't have to worry when they get there.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, the kids aren't robots. They're not going to make every play, even when they're the best. They're not going to get a hit every time. It's just impossible. And sometimes they're awful for a weekend. And I always tell them, like you'll see post-game speeches, I always say, hey, some of you are here and some of you are here. It's like this, but we can't all be down here at once, and we can't all be up here at once. And I really believe that, because if we're all playing great, I can only get 9 at a time. If I got 12 hitters playing great, I still got to leave somebody out.
Right.
If we got 12 hitters playing awful once, we hadn't made the playoffs. And that's not good for everybody. My team's made the playoffs every event for the last 5 years except for one time. So we're like, I guess that would make us 19 for 20 and making the playoffs except for USA, which was the best 12 teams in the country.
Wow.
Which is essentially all the playoffs. I mean, it was essentially a playoff-only event. So, yeah, if everybody's playing, if all 12 are down here at one time, then we're in trouble anyway.
Yeah.
So, I think when it comes to recruiting, just being honest.
Yeah. So you're saying what I'm getting from you is that you're going ahead and having the tough conversations early.
Because this I look at, it's a blank canvas, right? Like when I do my roster, I got a blank canvas, and you start filling things out. You start to kind of see where things are going. Well, hey, this kid's an infielder and an outfielder. They all like to play short. They all like to play short. They all like to play center. They all like to hit in the 3-hole. Every one of them. But hey, we got a center fielder. So for you to come over here, I need you to play left field. Just trust me, it'll work out. Sometimes we get lucky because the team they play for might not be able to play in the big events like we can. They don't have a choice. Sometimes we're very well known for the social media coverage. So maybe they're going to give up a little bit to get all the coverage and get Black Cobra to follow them and Next Up and kind of all the stuff we do. So internally, every kid's kind of got what they're willing to give up and not give up. And, I just kind of let them make the decisions. And what you kind of find at our level at 17, for sure, is parents just want somebody to be honest with them.
Right.
And granted, they don't know if I'm being honest because they've probably been lied to already. Yeah. Or their high school coaches, unfortunately, aren't honest with them. Or, maybe the high school coach looks at it one way and they look at it a different way. And, we do live in a world where, you hear about participation trophies and all that stuff. But, I don't know if the kids have changed because I'm only 35, but I definitely think the parents have changed. And I think
they're expecting more for their kids regardless of what the situation is, huh?
I think what I think on the parent side is they just get so caught up in player A versus player B. Player A is on this team as a pitcher only, but he was an awful hitter for his high school. So player B is a shortstop who doesn't pitch at all. Well, they can't get over the fact that player A is on the top team as a pitcher, even though their son don't pitch. They just see the name and they're like, well, my kid hit 400 and he goes to this school. Player A goes to this school. He's not any good. He makes all these errors. And I'm like, yes, man, but he's just hitting. He's just pitching. He's not hitting anymore. It's just like no matter what you tell them, all they look at the kids.
Right.
When they're local, or maybe not even local. Like maybe you play nationally enough to know some of them. And, all the time I'll have like a 6'3", I'm just using an example. It'd be like a 6'3" left-handed thrower, left-handed hitting outfielder, mad about what a 5'10" right-handed catcher's doing. And I'm like, even if we don't take him, your son we can't do it. Like your son's not even consideration. He don't play that position.
Right.
He's not that size. He don't hit. Like none of that's an option for us. And I, very, very rarely do I sit down and go, she's right or he's right or whoever's right. They have a son who's a shortstop and this kid's a shortstop. And, their kid's a better player. Hardly ever do I think, because you don't have to tell them. Like,
Yeah, you've already calculated it, right?
Well, I'm not perfect. Don't get me wrong.
Right. Yeah.
But I just think, parents get so caught up in just the names or where a kid goes to school. Liberty Hollow kids don't like Pleasant Grove, and Pleasant Grove don't like Texas. It's just a circle, and then you get into different states or different communities. It's not just Texarkana; it's everywhere. And social media, I think social media is a blessing. I'm not one that thinks social media is as bad as people make it sound, but it's so easy to look up a player.
Right.
Hey, who's your shortstop? Hey, Spencer Bryan's our shortstop. They can get on Twitter right then. They can get on Perfect Game. They can get on social media. They can see every good thing he's done, every bad thing, and immediately they decided if they're better, if he's a good player or a bad player. They might not have ever seen him play. So our situations don't really come from. Very rarely do you have a situation like in college where all 40 kids are on the field for practice and you kind of know who's earned it. Our situation is we have to make these rosters. Who can get there? Who's got financial freedom to get there? Sometimes they got to take, might have flunked the class or they can't even play in all these events. I'll tell you, we've had one of our best players this summer was from Connecticut. He's going to Princeton, Bennett Career, one of the best players we ever had. He didn't even get out of school until we had played 2 tournaments. We played 2 tournaments for Bennett even was out of his junior year or out of his junior year to get there. He couldn't miss finals. And he's going to Princeton, so he definitely couldn't miss. So, I think there's so many factors I look at on this canvas that another parent just goes, we just want to play on this team. We want to wear the Chicago White Sox scout team. They want their kids to wear the White Sox gear, and they want to play for me and Coach Slayton and Coach Goodhart and all these guys that kind of the more named coaches. And, the way I look at it is we have a situation for everybody. I've done this 10 years. Coach Tapper, Hayden Tapper, this summer, we got more 5-star praises from the parents on him. Not one person ever said, hey, this was awful, this wasn't good. They loved him. And that was a great situation for that team. Those players, we put a lot of work into it, and it went just like we thought it would. Unfortunately, it doesn't always go that way. We think we have good coaches, and I know we have good players. They don't always do great in the summer. Whatever reason, some coaches they don't like when parents come in the dugout. They don't like, and not even to complain. They're just around. They don't necessarily like the not practicing. They don't like the being able to tell a kid, hey, you were 20 minutes late today, so you're not playing. How can we get mad in the summer when the parents have to drive them to Atlanta, Georgia, and, Memphis, Tennessee, and all this stuff? We don't have a bus to take them. So all we can do is, take it 1 week at a time. I'm not saying we don't have problems. We do, like any other small business. But Evan Ham, who's been our director of baseball operations, he's done a phenomenal job of us taking care of stuff as they come up. And our retention rate is very high. And as an owner, that's what I look at. I go, are people happy? If they're not happy, can I control it? Hey, we didn't put him on our top team. We didn't think he was. It's not even necessarily sometimes they're not good enough. It's who they're going against. Is he good enough locally or in the Midwest to be in this position on this team? Absolutely. But now we got somebody from Oregon playing shortstop, and he's just a better player. So there's no reason to put him on this team. If it's something I could control, was the hotel bad? We've had cars get into it, broken into at hotels that parents have been mad at us. We had nothing to do with that. We didn't. It was a nice hotel. It just happened, unfortunately. This summer, for whatever reason, 10 of our 250 uniforms came in with no number on the back from China. Don't think it was a Decker issue. I don't think it was I don't think anybody in the sticks did anything wrong. I don't think anybody Decker did anything. It just happened, and we got it fixed when we could. Still my fault. So I think, a lot of it is we try to put kids in good situations. We try to put coaches in good situations. When you have as many kids as we do, it's not going to be perfect ever. It's just not. The smaller amount of kids you have playing, you hear about some programs and they got 1 or 2 teams and they've got their teams The roster's filled out in September for next summer. They know exactly where they're going. And I'm like, yeah, they may have told you that. We got 12 to 15 to 20 teams. Like, I don't know who's playing shortstop on Sticks Teel next summer because I don't know who all signed up yet. We hadn't ordered uniforms. So we got our problems like anybody else, but it's been such a blessing. And we have such a phenomenal group of parents and players that enjoy playing for the Sticks. There's nothing better than, going to Walmart and seeing a kid wearing a Stick shirt or a hat. And Shane Halter does a phenomenal job with our youth program. I think they've got 16 or 17 teams maybe, and Cameron Forte runs our Sticks softball. So, we got people proud of it. And not only, in Texarkana, obviously, and which means a ton to me and Shane and Cameron, and I hope everybody in this area, but, also around the state of Arkansas and then hopefully one day around, the United States, hopefully. So
yeah, that's cool. When did the book become a thought to you? What was the origin of that?
When I first, me and Alicia been together 16 years, I would always tell her I wanted to write a book. And she don't care. Like, she don't. One of the titles was, so at first it was going to be called You Could Change the World. And then it was going to be called Nobody's Going to Read That. So at first, because she used to always tell me nobody's going to read your book. It was an Amazon bestseller, by the way. But she used to say, nobody's going to read your book. And I was going to call the podcast, Nobody's Going to Listen to That. Nobody's going to read that. And nobody's going to listen to that. That was going to be kind of the play that I went with. And I just changed it. I mean, why play anywhere else has always been our motto. It's always been our hashtag. Like, YPAE is, on a lot of our stuff. And I'd always wanted to write a book. I figured a biography. I don't really know why. I don't really have a clue. I guess I think most successful people write books, and everybody wants to be successful. And,
right.
That was something I wanted to do. And I don't know. I just started writing, and I thought I was going to write a biography, and then I thought I was going to do like this leadership book. And then when I got done, it was basically the Sticks and how we had done it. And I met with like we had behind the scenes, we had so much help and so much just helps, right word, mentor, people telling me, they thought it was a good idea. And so we went on a family trip, me and Kyle Slayton, his wife, Kim, and my wife, we went to Hawaii. Get on a plane. I wrote probably 60% of the book, 50% of the book, maybe. Get on a plane, 9-hour flight. And I'd have to double check, not somewhere in there. So we went Dallas to Pittsburgh, for some reason, Pittsburgh to Hawaii. I don't really know. No. I'm sorry. That's not right. We went Dallas to Detroit to Hawaii. I think it was like 9 hours. Somebody can fact check that. But either way, we get on there and the captain comes on. He goes, hey, the good news is the plane is brand new. This is the second flight ever. He said, the bad news is it's so new they haven't put Wi-Fi on here yet. So got in a little bed, got the book, got my journal out, and I just wrote. I wrote the whole way and go to sleep, wake back up, write some more. And by the time we got home from the trip, I had pretty much finished the whole thing.
Wow.
And like I said, at the end of it, I went back and I read it. And so I wrote it all first. I don't know how other people did it. This is how I did it. I went to Books A Million, got a journal, I hand wrote the whole thing. Wow. I then typed it all up. So as you're reading it, you're going, that don't make any sense, or you're changing stuff.
Yeah, and you edit. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And then I went back, I reread it like a book, straight through, edit more stuff. And then, like I said, at that point, it kind of became, that it kind of morphed into so why play anywhere else? And then it's how we built Sticks into a national brand. So then I wanted to go through and add more Stick stories just to make sure I was getting my point across. And I wrote they told me when I was meeting with book agents, I met with like two of them, and one of them said, when you get to 30,000 words, you'll have a book. That's when you'll know. So I was at like 35,000 at that point. So we met with some different people. It was a really cool process. Jeremy Booth is a friend of mine. Jeremy had just wrote a bestseller, and I had bought it as a friend. And I had a copy of it. So the thing I was worried about internally was I wasn't worried about money. I want to get my money back I put into it, but I didn't really care about none of that other stuff. I just wanted to do something that, me and Alicia aren't going to have kids. So, I wanted to do something where I was dead and gone. This would all still be here, and, somebody
like a
ever
legacy
cared.
type deal, yeah.
I don't know about legacy, but just like written work. And if I could ever help anybody, this was the stories. Right. And, they would never die. The Sticks mean a lot to me, and just, this is how we did it. And if it can help somebody, it can. And great. Maybe like this podcast, maybe it'll help somebody. And so I wanted the packaging and I just wanted it to be good. But when I was meeting with these people, I didn't have any of their projects. So I thought about it one day, and I was just looking at Jeremy's book, and I was like, Jeremy, who did your book? And he's like, hey, you should get with Jack Mays. So Jack kind of got with Jack, did all his stuff, all the stuff you got to do when you're doing that process. And they were so awesome, man. They killed it. And Jack took it. Unfortunately, I really wanted it to be 200 pages. We got done. It was like 160, but because we had a lot more than 200 to start with, but we took out some of the repetitive stuff, some of the, just made it like how a book's supposed to be. And Steve Landers did the forward, and it was awesome. And it was awesome. It was a great experience. It was terrifying. It was therapeutic. It was because my degree was in criminal justice. I always knew I wanted to coach. I wasn't very good at math. Criminal justice was the easiest degree to get with one math. And so that's what I did. I did go back and get my MBA in business to, just later on as I was more of an adult, like kind of saw where my life was going. But my point is I don't have an English degree. I don't have a. Yeah,
I was going to ask about the English side of it, because like I always thought about writing a book. Like that'd be cool, but. Like, does somebody? I guess my question is: does somebody come back over and like fix all the grammar stuff?
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a process. That's part of the end of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always been a good writer. Like writing's probably my best attribute of the science, English, math, or whatever. But that doesn't mean that they're grammatically correct because they're spelled right. So then you feel this. At least I felt this unbelievable pressure to. All right, we're at the very finish. We haven't told everybody. We're at the very finish. We got the title. We got the cover. I've proofreaded it like 1 million times, but the pressure of when you hit send, no matter that there's all these steps to make sure this is foolproof, it still gets sent out. Somebody goes, this guy's an idiot. Like, there's this paragraph, there's this whatever. And my wife didn't want to read it. And I just happened to notice out of nowhere one day, the first chapter, it was spelled right, like in the table of contents, it was spelled right everywhere. But on the actual page, we had left a word out. And actually, I think they did. And I'm not like saying they as in Jack, but I just think somehow, like it originally was in there, and then somehow when it got transferred over, the first chapter was called You Could Change the World, and it was like You Changed the World. Like it didn't have the word, can in there.
Okay, yeah.
So then I went to Alicia, and I was just like, no, like you have to sit down and read, like my legacy or my whatever reputation, like my life is on the line here. I can't. Like, we can't leave out something in the chapter title like that. That would be so embarrassing. And she did, and she had some good insight. Like, actually, I kind of took some stuff for granted. Like, if you're reading this book, you might know who the sticks were. So she had gave me some really good insight. I mean, she was just like, why would you assume that people know what the sticks are? Or why would you assume this or that? So I kind of went back, took that mindset. That was awesome. One of her best friends, her trainer that was in our wedding, she has an English degree, so we let her read it. So now we're kind of like, R&D or proof of concept. Now I'm kind of running it like a business. I'm like, all right, well, check this out. And then we finally got to the finish line, and it was great. We did the interview with Morgan. We were able to do it at Benchmark, which is my favorite restaurant. And he let us in there, before they opened.
Morgan Smith. Yeah,
we did the interview.
Morgan Smith. Yeah, I had him on here.
Morgan's been a great friend of mine, and he's been a mentor as well. And
has game day affected like bringing more hype to like sports? Have you felt that?
Yeah. And I've tried to help them. Like, at first, before I really knew Morgan, we had parents that would complain, and I guess I can speak about whatever because I like Morgan, but, he gets the rap for being the PG group, only doing what PG wants. And, I knew some of the situation on the school side, on the funding side, on the advertising side. So I would just go out on my way because I like Morgan. And I would just be like, no, like, y'all don't understand. Like, nobody's telling him that player X committed. Nobody is... the schools aren't paying for this. And so, I tried to help behind the scenes as much as I could because I've been where Morgan's at. You're losing money to help people.
Yeah.
You're doing stuff. You're going to shoot. We went to my niece plays volleyball at Redwater. Eden. We go watch Eden, and Morgan's there. And I'm like, what are you doing at this 8th grade volleyball game? There was a little kid there. He must have been like a 5th or 6th grader, and he wants to learn how to do media. So Morgan had took his camera. He was like teaching them how to, balance the color and all that stuff. And nobody ever sees that stuff. He's not going to be happy I told that story. But my point is that's who Morgan Smith is. Who people think Morgan Smith is not anything of what he was. So, I think collectively he was trying to help the community, a community he's not even necessarily from. And they were like kind of half of the, community was turned on him. Whatever game he was broadcasting, loading on, whichever games he didn't. So we were trying to spread our knowledge or our, to our circles and just go, hey, like, y'all don't understand. Like, it's a lot of work. And I think now we're at a better place. I think people understand what he's trying to do, and I know he loves the community, and he's been huge in my career personally. He's one of my best friends, and just very organic, man. We try to go to lunch every couple of weeks, and he's a dreamer like me. Like, I'm one of those guys. Like, I think I can do anything. I think anybody can do anything, really. I mean, obviously, some people got better financial situations or maybe better intelligence situations, but you do whatever you want. And I think Morgan feels the same way. So we kind of always hit it off, and I think game day is good for everybody.
I got a good vibe from him. Me and him had a good time talking.
Yeah.
So I come from Liberty Aloe. Okay. I remember when game day first started popping off. I remember when people were crying. They only show PG. Yeah. But I mean, he explained that they were the ones that opened their door first to him also. So, and there was lots of other factors, but he just seems like a genuine dude, and I'm glad it's really paying off. And it's so crazy, like, especially on the football side, that like on a Friday night, I can sit at my house and scroll between, like the other night, I would watch Texas High, then I'd scroll over and check out Liberty Aloe, then scroll over and check out Pleasant Grove. That's insane.
Yeah, and I mean, before COVID, you couldn't do any of that. Like, the UIL would let you. So, obviously, COVID had so many things that was awful in the world. But, you were able to see, not only remote work, but also, streaming, and just kind of change things. And, we got a lot of people. We have a lot of kids that play with us from LE, Tristan Howe and Colin Evans and WT and Cal. And, me and Zach grew up together. Zach's a good friend of mine. And,
and Zach Ricky, on the podcast.
Yeah, Zach's awesome. And Ricky and Rushing and just all those guys. And, I think getting any one fan base to understand is impossible, right? Like, and as a Texas High alumni, PG was going through its run, and maybe they're still in it. Who knows? It's not really for me to say, but it happened at the right time. They were his first supporters, and, they ended up winning a state championship, and, it was good for Texarkana. Yeah. And I think it's like anything else. People don't like a certain school. They don't like a certain platform. They don't like a certain person, but they still watch. Yeah. And, there are literally people that don't like me that are still going to watch this. And that's just the world we live in, and it's kind of how
You think they're going to watch to even just pick it apart, maybe? Or
I don't really care because, I think I know that there are people that talk about me that don't like me that listen to my podcast. I know that because I get sent screenshots of, people saying stuff, and I know that I don't talk to those people. Wow. But, financial success changes how you view the world. Yeah. I got a problem with nobody. Like, my life's great. My wife's beautiful. We got good family. My dad's awesome. He's doing a lot better. And, my brother Dylan is successful. So if anybody got a problem with me, that's up to them. But a lot of people don't look at it like that. And I know the thing about, different fan bases is you might not like the Cowboys, but you're going to watch. You might not like Texas, you're going to watch. You might not like Morgan, you're going to watch game day.
Yeah.
You might not like Chase Brewster, you're still going to see if the Sticks won. And, unfortunately, that's part of life, but it's part of like the successful side of life.
Right.
Because the teams that are losers, nobody checks to see whoever team X is that never wins if they won that week or lost again or whatever. So, unfortunately, when you start doing successful stuff, that's just part of it. And,
it's like a byproduct of success is people not liking what you got going on. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. There's a lot of human nature things that go into anytime you try to do anything. And one thing that always gets me, like on the big picture things as far as human interaction, is that it seems like one of the most natural things we can do is like argue or to like dislike things and stuff. It just seems like it's almost like a natural thing. Like, and people have to work, like actually put in work to not fall into those things. What do you think about that?
I think there's so many topics out there, right? Like, who you going to vote for? Did you get vaccinated? Do you think COVID's real? Any of those, like real, like everyday questions over the last 5 years. I don't care the answers, and nobody should care about my answers. But they're all, every time there's a discussion on the news or there's a discussion on social media, no matter what, 50% of people get offended. And I just think, I don't know if it's today or the world we live in today or just the world in general. It's like before you give your answer, 50% of people agree or 50% don't like it. No matter what that answer is.
True.
And I always just took the concept of, hey, my thoughts, my views, my lifestyle, like that's, great. I don't want to influence anybody because you let people influence you that you don't know what they're doing behind closed doors. And, I make decisions for myself. My wife's very independent. We have a great relationship to where we don't really worry about what else everybody else got going on. But unfortunately, what you see is a lot of people worried about the other side of it, the influence side of it, of where, just who's happy, who's not happy. And I think, the world has set up to argue. The world is set up to, I don't want to say argue, because if I say blue's my favorite color and you say, well, red's better than blue, I have the option to say, you're right. I didn't think about that. Or I can go, hey, you ain't got no idea what you're talking about. Yeah. Colorblind.
Yeah, either way, yeah.
Yeah, I get the choice. Be it Chase Brewster, I just go, yeah, that's awesome. I got some of those shirts too. I got all those shirts. I got blue, red, pink, whatever color you like, I'll wear.
Yeah.
So I think, how busy you are, financial freedom. If your wife's made you mad that day, you get a ticket on the way there. All that stuff affects to what your answers are going to be. I had a great day today. Phenomenal day. So my interview is going to be good. You might have got a flat on the way here. You might not have ate lunch.
We did have a flat this morning in the work truck.
That's awful. And I hate that for you. I did not. I had a great day. Had a great lunch. My life was great today, knock on wood.
Yeah.
But if you come here and you had an off a day and your questions are hostile, and I got a chance to be like, man, that interview sucked. I hope we don't put it out. No. I come here in a great mood.
Yeah.
Because I try to have a great mood anyway. But, I think life has a way of changing how you feel, all of us, to where that plays into it as well. Because, when you're genuinely happy, it's hard to argue. Because it's not going to change how I feel. Right. And, again, I think that's part of getting older too. I'm 35 now. Hopefully I'll live to be 135, so hopefully I'm still young.
Come on. Yeah, we're going to live. Hey,
yeah, I hope so.
I'm trying to get to triple digits for sure.
I hope so. I have to keep losing weight for that, but I hope so. But, I think it's just, as I get older, I go, hey, you ain't going to make everybody happy, unfortunately. I hate that. I can just be honest with them. I can tell them how I feel, and that's all I can do. And then I can go home to my family, and, they'll be happy to see me, and keep life going. And I think... I think the world would love for us to argue and not be happy, but it's not something hopefully I'm gonna be a part of. And unfortunately, I do at times get caught up in it. I get baited all the time, or I used to on social media. And now the fact that I don't really care, it really doesn't happen as much anymore. But the one or two times I respond, I end up getting so mad at myself because I'm like, hey, who cares, man? Who cares? Just let it go. Life's great. You got all you could ask for. God been so good to me. I've been so blessed, and I ain't got to worry about. What color shirt somebody else wants to wear. I got my own colors to wear.
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty of it.
So when you figure your own stuff out, it's a lot easier to not get involved in everybody else's drama, basically, huh?
I don't know that. I think when you know what you want to do, it's a lot harder for somebody else to tell you what you want to do.
Right.
And, I talk about it in the book, but, when kids come up, and little girls right here, little boy, he's 5. He goes, I want to be an astronaut. You go, oh, that's great, man. You can do it. You can do it. When they're 15, you go, hey, dude, you ain't passing science. You ain't passing that. You can't. There ain't no way. You just need to get a real job. You need to get a real career path. And I think, somewhere in between that innocence gets lost, you start telling people how to feel. And not necessarily you, but the world, your friends, whoever start telling you. And I just don't let nobody look at it like that. Now I remember when I put my book out, everybody said, hey, that ain't gonna work. But when it was a media bestseller, I thought, hey, I wish I know people saw it and, whatever. But, I don't let that change me.
Yeah. What was the process like? So you release it, how long till, did it just immediately jump off, or what was that process like?
I would just say, so Amazon doesn't tell you. So first of all, the responses were amazing, right?
Was it just it was a physical copy too,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
Or is that all it was? Was just a physical?
You can buy a Kindle version.
Okay, cool.
Which I don't own a Kindle, so I don't know about that. But you can get the physical version too.
Yeah.
The responses were incredible. The thing about Amazon is it doesn't tell you who buys it. It just tells you what country it's from. And on the first day, we had 2 people. I had to go back and look, but there was 2 people from foreign countries I had never been. Like, don't even know really where they're at on a map. And so I knew I didn't know anybody there. And I knew that like organically, somehow, some way, those people found the book through Amazon and bought it. And so I know, you know, it worked.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. It worked. And now it's on there forever. And, you know, I mean, it's, you know, we'll hopefully write more and keep it going.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Is there hopes for another book?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of got 2 more in the mind, but you know, really need life to kind of play out a little bit. But got kind of I didn't want to make it a biography, or you know, we just kind of did it on, you know, the pillars we used to build Sticks, and kind of got some other stuff in the works, and yeah, definitely. I don't want to give too much away, but we definitely we kind of, unfortunately, you know, life's got to play out, and hopefully keep being good to me, and you know, but yeah, we definitely got things in the works.
There you go.
For sure.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. I've had a good time. I learned a whole bunch.
For sure.
I have to have you back. Let's wait a little bit, and I'm gonna bring you back next year or something. That'd be cool to catch back up and see what's going on in the future. To the YouTube channel, like, share, subscribe, do all that cool stuff. It really does help. If you're watching this on Spotify or listen to this on Spotify, if you listen to the whole thing, please leave a 5-star. That'll do amazing for me. Go check out the Chase Brewster podcast.
Chase Brewster Show.
The Chase Brewster Show. There you have it. See, look, I'm messing up. But yeah, go check that out. Tons of baseball guests. It's pretty much it's a baseball podcast, right?
You know,
how would you describe it?
I don't want it to be. You know, the way I describe it is, I got the best group of friends in the world you could ask for. A lot of them are baseball coaches, because you know that you are who you hang out with. But you know, we've had other people. We've had basketball coaches. We've had, you know, we had the president. We've had other people, successful people that I would think at least people would view it. And you know, what I like to think is, or what I like to say is, I got the best group of friend group you can ask for. So why not just hit record? Right. And so we've just recorded our conversations basically, and it's been awesome. And I encourage anybody on Spotify or Apple Podcasts to listen to the Chase Brewster Show. And if on Amazon, pick up the book Why Play Anywhere Else. It would definitely be very appreciative.
Yeah. There you have it. That's where you can find them, and that's where that's it. You got anything else you want to tell the people?
No, man, definitely appreciate you. I know how hard it is to do a podcast. It's not easy. You know, the clips, the short clips, and the you know, the finished edited version is fun, and it makes it like anybody can do it, but it's awful when you're in it, and it is. And then, you know, actually, I'll tell this story real quick. I wanted to do a podcast for a long time. We spent like 4 years trying to do it. And I announced I was going to do the podcast and what day it was coming out before we ever recorded our first episode. Like, I was like, I don't have a choice. Like, I'm going to have it done by this deadline. And we ended up meeting it, obviously, and it's been great. And I haven't listened to a single episode.
Oh, you never go back and listen to them?
No, I get embarrassed and I won't do it. So I don't listen to them. I don't even look at the numbers. I know at one point, this was maybe like season, I don't know what season, but one day Blaine was like, hey, you're averaging, you know, significantly over 1,000 listeners episode, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't think I know it is. And yeah, so I mean, I don't know where it's at now or care, because I don't want the book or the show, I don't want the monetary side of it or the number side to change how I feel about it.
Right.
You know, like this podcast, I don't care if one person listens or 1 million people. I'm glad you had me on. I'm super appreciative. Obviously, you care about Texarkana, which I care about tremendously. And I wanted to support you in the show. And hopefully somebody enjoyed it and they got something from it. That'd be awesome. But, you know, I think that, you know, there's other people now that want to get in the podcast, like our pastor, you know, Brother Tim Montgomery at Oasis. He asked me for advice. Hey, what do I do? What do I want? You know, I think this would be good for the world. And so it's obviously getting out there, and I think if I can do it or you can do it, anybody could do it. And I don't mean that as a slight at me and you. I just mean we had a dream. We spent some money, got some equipment. I didn't know how to interview people. I'm assuming you didn't.
No.
We figured it out along the way. And, you know, man, like I said, it's part of just doing whatever, you know, you can do whatever you want. And I believe that. And so I'm appreciative for you having me on.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
I'm appreciative of you having a show in Texarkana and caring about Texarkana, and would love to come back on. And, yeah, man, I appreciate you taking the time out to interview me.
Yeah, it's been cool. Y'all stay tapped in. We definitely appreciate it, especially if you made it all the way through. We love you, and y'all have a blessed day.